Glad you're here. Hi, everybody. I'm not going to name names. There's too damn many of you. Anyway, this is Millbillie. I'm sure you all are familiar with them. We're just going to sit back and have a little chat about all the nice things he's doing, them calls and all that research. It needs to be known how he's doing it, what's really interesting about certain ones, things like that. So how you doing, Millbillie?
I'm pretty good, pretty good.
That's good. So what do you want to start talking about? Hi, everybody. I'm not going to say your names. I'm pretty bad at the chat, but hello. Anyway, so what is new?
Well, a lot lately.
Yeah. I'll tell you, every time I listen to them tapes, I find something in there that's just like, wow. You know what I really think I like about him the most is that when you're listening to him, I mean, him and his mom are kind of repetitive now. It's a lot of yeah and that's they talk a lot, so they run out of things to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking to just about anybody, you get to feel like what he was doing at that time. You're there with him. You know what I mean? And
That's the most important thing because you get a perspective of what's happening in real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what it draws me to him.
Like for most of the calls when he's talking to the Lord, especially when it's around the news time, when the news is on, they're both listening to it, so you can hear the news reports.
Right. Oh yeah, I've heard a few.
They're always talking about what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when he first starts talking about none of this makes sense, it just don't make sense, and they're all trying to figure it out themselves. You know what I mean? Because as to us,
every time he mentioned keys, the Lord says, "What do you mean keys? It was one key.
Yeah,
one key, Stephen."
Yeah. Who carries one key? It's so real. You know what I mean? It's like they think the same things we see. The same.
Oh, yeah. You can hear them questioning the same things all of us question.
Yes, exactly.
And having some of the same theories.
Yes. Oh, exactly. Like maybe she's still alive. I've heard him say it, especially the mom.
There's a call where they say maybe my callback did it.
Yep, I've heard that too. And how come they don't question the boyfriend and a whole bunch of things?
They're all questioning why their family don't show no emotions at all in the courtroom or on TV whatsoever.
Like when Brian's talking to Stephen, he says, if my brother was killed, I'd be crying.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be crying.
Oh, for sure.
I think anybody normally would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I mean. I think they're really telling. And and what's real funny is that the cops tell on themselves in their own. So, what are the ones that
this dispatch for Manitowoc is not time stamped.
Oh.
None of it.
Wonder why.
I've been slowly deciphering when things are happening.
Oh, yeah. Through the other calls.
Yeah, I'm almost done. And reports and when things are entered in the CAD systems and yeah.
Right. Millbillie's links there, you guys. If you haven't subscribed to him, hit that button, subscribe, and ring the bell because you don't want to miss any of this stuff he's got. Believe me, I've listened to him. I've got to the point where I have to put thank you or TY on there, so I've known that I've listened to that dispatch. So what are if you could just pick like 2 or 3 of the dispatch calls that you do have time stamped, what are they that stands out like in your mind, like what they're saying to each
other? For timestamp, that would mean it'd be queso.
Okay.
The expanding the crime scene 2.5 miles because they're finding bones all everywhere, buckets of bones.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the call. Why are the coroners calling in, asking for 2 funeral homes calling asking for permission to do cremations?
Whoa!
Why is Outagamie calling Calumet to getting permission for a cremation for a homicide or death that occurred in Calumet?
Yeah.
So why is the Calumet shipping? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're saying things that aren't brought up or known or in reports. You know what I'm saying?
Just like, well, the biggest question in all these people calling in, giving these tips, were they really followed through?
Yeah.
Like the Leo R saying that somebody fit into his description, knocked on his door.
Yeah.
Did they talk to him? And if they did the person say which address they were looking for?
Right. What was the the description was her, but was she terrorized? Was she scared? Why didn't you let her in? I mean, you know what I mean? There's a lot of questions there that are just, nothing ever is in a straight line when it comes to this case. And lies make it go like this, and they're trying to weave it together.
Yes.
You're kind of putting puzzle pieces that people have been looking at, rabbit holes people have been going down. They can hear these things and they can kind of puzzle, piece their own, theories about it and whatnot. But it's pretty telling when it's coming out of their own mouths.
Well, all the Cuffs Road videos I did, seeing all these photos we have now is like icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is really, especially when you can zoom them in and like, what's under that blue tarp there? I'm pretty curious. As to.
There are photos of that area, H1 and H2, yet to be released.
Yeah.
That's where O'Kelly's and Kaczynski's notes list about body measurements. Why are the investigators telling Jody that they have photos of a body? Like when they're interviewing Stephen on the 9th, why do they say bones one time and then 6 times mention a body?
I do remember listening to that, and I was counting how many times Wiegert was saying that to him. You know what I mean? And and then I thought, well, that's just a ploy. You know what I mean? But it makes sense when you hear the other things. So that's what I mean. You're putting puzzles together. You know what I'm saying? It's piecework, and a lot of hard piecework. I understand. I mean, how many tapes did you get?
For what?
How many hours have you done so far?
For the jail calls, or
just like whatever ones
I've been working on this like every day for literally a year straight now.
Wow.
I get off work and it's just wow.
Yeah, it's just listen to some more. You must like fall asleep listening to these things, and picking out, oh my gosh, stop that. I have to stop that there and write down what it is so I can remember. I mean, you must have notebooks like crazy. I mean, I know I have them. You know what I mean?
Actually, no, I have. All right, this is just queso reports. I have the whole queso printed out, but I really only have like a stack, like maybe this big of just loose paper written on. Majority of it's already in my head.
Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, you've been on the case for a long time, so it's not like you're like brand new next door. You know what I'm saying? I know I've been on it, but I haven't done. I read what you guys do. I get what you guys do. I guess I suck off the researchers. I've researched a few things myself, but I'm really not deep into it. I mean, I go into it after I look in the documents and I go, wow, that's a little strange. Let's check this out. I've done that, but I've never put in any FOIA, requests. And how's that go for you? Have you done that? Have you been turned down? I mean, I wouldn't even know how to do it.
I FOIA'd once thing from Manitowoc, is form an audio thing, and it was denied. Their reasoning was that it's sealed evidence and it can't be released until it's brought out in a new trial. So,
so there must be something real good there.
I know people that have FOIA'd a bunch of stuff and been successful, and people that have FOIA'd stuff a year ago that was denied, and recently people that have FOIA'd stuff now, it's now being released. So it obviously is being looked at. So,
wow. Yeah.
Bobby Dassey's interview.
Yeah. Bobby Dassey's interview.
Osmussen's interview.
Oh, so you think that's what's like?
They're recording everybody. Like when they're talking to Brendan, they mentioned multiple times, review the tapes, review their notes, review the tapes, review the notes. Right when they go in the room, what do? They turn off the tape recorder. So we can turn this off because we got the room recording. That's why we have these interviews with Chuck like Earl's interview is not even mentioned happening in Queso.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't keep very good records. They got a lot of typos that seem to be very convenient.
And then in Queso, they tell you to refer to this officer's reports. You can't find them.
Yeah. Well, they're probably under another number or a different date. You know what I'm saying? They just don't get it.
For instance, Coburn doesn't file his report about talking to Stephen Avery till 8 months later.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you know what? For somebody or let's say some organization who is supposed to be, I mean, I would think have to be exact on times and dates of things because you're dealing with people's lives. You're dealing with rescuing people. I mean, this stuff needs to be on point. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? I know people that run a grocery store that have better paperwork, you know what I mean? And they don't even have to have that. But this is something that should be like rechecked, redone, or at least explained. Why is this date on here? Why do you have the RAV in custody before you find it on the Avery
green? Says it's green. Manitowoc has it in custody as green.
And then it's on the papers as blue-green or whatever.
Even Bill Tyson says he's stationed to watch the green vehicle on Avery's until it's removed.
Yeah. I mean,
the first person to question the color is Pam.
Yeah. And she did it on the tape. Well, it's not green. It's kind of blue. I don't.
The very next person. Well, this is the officer's report, so we really don't know what was said because it's their take on what they observed or heard.
Right.
But even Bobby Dassey says it's bluish green Honda CRV.
Yeah. So, yeah. See, I don't get how they're allowed to not have accurate documentation. Well, I guess that's the whole problem with the whole case anyway. I mean, as soon as they,
I think you got Blaine.
Go ahead, share the screen if you can. Do you want me to?
He says where he's seen them.
I can add this screen. Is that what you want me to do? The one that's right down here?
No, you don't have to do that. That's just all the sign in, sign out sheets we have. But if you want to do that, we have the Manitowoc summary report we can look at.
Okay, go ahead. There we go. How do can I enlarge it or what? Do this? I don't know if I can.
Yep.
I don't know I don't know how to enlarge that stuff.
Okay. Well, the reported date says this was issued at 1834 on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And why do they have everybody's redacted? This confidential informant, Kim Cott, Stephen.
Wow. Never seen these before.
Okay, well, they got suspects arrest Brandon Dassey. Well, the report of this is 2016. This is when this was generated, but the document was actually entered back in 2005.
Okay.
They have 11/3/2005 property seized, whatever. They got Teresa Hallbach listed as kidnapped.
Oh, huh.
Evidence seized: automobile, Toyota RAV4, dark green.
Yeah. Well, now how the heck do they do that? Put her as kidnapped when, you know what I mean? Oh, that's just crazy.
Well, they do classify her as a missing person, so that would fit.
Yeah, but missing person is different than kidnapped. Then you know what I mean? Because they have somebody, somebody calls up and says she's missing. That's different than saying she's kidnapped. You know what I mean? They have to have somebody like taking her away or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and then they have her as don't they have her as deceased before she was? Wasn't there a confusion in that even where they had her deceased or something a day before? Oh my gosh, what's this here?
This is the 11/7 report on Cuss Road.
Okay, there we go. Let's get into that. Hi, Susan.
All right. This is Deputy Siders along with Sergeant Segalob, which is a other dispatch commander for the Manitowoc Sheriff's Department, along with Sergeant Jason Jost and Deputy Michael Bushman, who is a reserve deputy that is brought in for one day for 9.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Once on the scene, the officer in charge of CASO, they break them up into search groups, A, B, C, and D. Michael Bushman, he's in charge of Group A, along with every other Manitowoc Sheriff's Department officer, because obviously they take control of Cuss Road. You hear it in the transmissions. You got Gordon calling in and saying that Calumet is requesting that a Manitowoc officer Cuss Road.
Yeah. And, that's the whole thing. They poisoned that immediately by having them there. So,
and they're obviously in those transmission calls, they're not on Avery's property, because this whole search this day was to search the surrounding areas, because they had already searched his property for 3 days. The 5th, the 6th, the 7th. This is the 7th.
Yep, the day before the bones are found.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you listen to the transmissions for the 8th, they don't mention anything about no bones. Out of all the dispatch I listen to, whether it's Manitowoc or Queso, you don't hear nothing about bones until the 9th.
Until the 9th. So maybe that's a mistake too, huh?
Yeah. Well, obviously they don't file the reports, and we don't actually see the officer reports.
Right. That'd be interesting to get a hold of if you could read them.
Oh yeah, it sure would.
Okay. Are you done with this one, or are you still reading?
Yeah, we're done with this one. It's just they don't mention anything about Cuss Road whatsoever. Nothing.
I had me there. I'm getting you needed. You can put up, if you want to put something else up, go right ahead. But you know that that's long as we're talking about Cuss Road here. They had, why don't you just explain the dispatch for Cuss Road?
Well, you hear it's all Manitowoc. It's the transmissions, the officers talking to each other. And after listening to the Queso dispatch, they were talking on a whisper channel, discreet, because at one time somebody from the True Rivers Police Department contacts Calumet because they're trying to get rid of contact one of their officers, and they're using the whisper channel, so therefore they can't even talk to them.
So is that the one
in a private channel?
They talk in code, or they listen to them? They're not talking in code. Is that what they're talking about? Whisper channel? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, it's a private channel that unless you're scanning, you may find it, or unless you know the frequency they're on.
Okay. And they don't have no records of that. So like you couldn't listen to that to see what it was all about, right? You couldn't get it.
Oh yeah, you could if you had a scanner. If you could possibly pick up the signal from them if you were close enough.
Wow. That would have been.
They were having problems with their cell phone coverage in the pit. Their phones weren't working. At one time, the GPS wasn't even working, so they were calling. They were using 911 to determine where they were.
Because they kept dropping calls, right?
Yeah. So they'd go to a location, call 911. The dispatcher would tell them where they are, and then they double check it with the GPS coordinate.
Yeah. That they had to be in the pits or something down there where they.
This wasn't just on Avery's. This was all over the place. They had a big windstorm that came through and took down one of the towers.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I mean, I know what rural Minnesota or
I listened to all of the Queso dispatch. I only put out the stuff that I thought was relevant.
I think there should have been a mistrial rate when Manitowoc was allowed to be there. That's my view on that. I mean, they should have.
Their officer's testimony from the beginning to when they go back, they contradict what they say all the time.
Right.
Like James, you listen to the jail calls, and the officers are obviously listening to the calls too. So they're taking things that they're saying and building a case against him. Because they had nothing. All the things they had could easily have been argued as being planted. The RAV, the key, the bones, the blood.
Right.
Until they came back in March and came back with the DNA on the hood latch and the bullet. And
Well, the bullet is, we all know that's a little suspicious. I mean, come
But
on.
all this, everything. Like I said, if you look at who came there back in March, that was there in November, that's who's all involved.
Yeah. Yeah. People that are coming off of like retirement for a day and things like that.
Well, it
Don't you
wasn't
find?
really retirement. Michael Bushman, Todd Herman, they're reserve deputies.
Oh, okay.
So they're called in for special functions.
And they're Manitowoc.
Yes.
See, now why would they be called in? And I mean, Dean Strain did say it. He said, well, at this point, they didn't need to have Manitowoc in that garage.
Well, why is Calumet County stationing Bill Tyson to babysit the officers?
Yeah.
And they even asked him in trial, have you ever been in this situation where you are told to watch people searching? No.
Never.
You find that kind of odd?
Yeah, I find everything about this case odd, as well as you and probably all of our listeners, I'm sure. But Jamie's asking you a question. I'm going to try to keep up a little bit, let the, let's interact with our chat because that's why we're here. But he says, have you sent any specific calls to Kathleen?
Yes, they have. All from the 11th, the 9th. She's got to be well aware of all this.
And she obviously has some that she's going to be using.
I find it strange that why she wanted to expand the word limit on her brief. They denied it, and then she still had like 3,000 words left she could have added to it. So why did she ask for the extension? And then when she files it, it's well below what it was supposed to be.
Right, right. And then let me see what else. I've seen something else up here, but I can't remember. If it was important, they'll put it back in here. I don't know who it was. Kratz's press conference. Gotten Stephen off fruit of. Yes, I agree with you, Mary. 30. Yes, that was poison to the public. That press conference was, in my view, when I seen that and I watched that, I was like, what the hell is this? I've never seen this in my life. Somebody on there saying that graphic stuff, all that stuff without even being checked out. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even, none of it was confirmed. He just got on there and started saying this. And that's a no-no as far as I know. So right there, that made me start going, what's going on here? And it got me more grabbed into the movie. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I seen all of it together. I thought, gosh, darn it, man, this is just too weird. Are these people still in jail? And I found that out. And I was like, whoa, I got to stay on this. I got to figure it out. And I don't know where your whereabouts are, but you're in the Midwest like I am. I'm in Minnesota. So that being next door to me, I'm like,
I'm south of Manitowoc, about an hour drive. I used to live closer.
Yeah. So see, you know what it's like to be out here and you're like, this is happening this close to me. I bet you were just like appalled. It's like, this could be me. It could be you. You know what I mean? I mean, if you happen to be.
People say that they can't remember what they did on days. I know exactly what I was doing on October 31st, 2005.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
I went to work, got off of work, and I went to my buddy's house that was having a party. I met up with my girlfriend. I was pregnant at the time.
There you go.
And then we went home.
That's a long time ago to be able to tell somebody what you were doing. So that's. But maybe you got that mentality because you do live there and you have to have an alibi for everything you do. Yeah. I mean, it's just scared, you know what I mean? But it's not that to me, it's unusual that it happens. But it is a small town. It's, you know, I mean, they never thought any of us would do any of this. They never thought anybody be doing what you're doing, digging in and turning them tapes into where other people can hear them. You know what I mean? And letting everybody else have their own opinion about it. They never thought that was going to happen. You know what I mean? Never.
Well, somebody I know is transferring all the queso dispatch into a form so we'll be able to share it so everybody can listen to it.
Yeah, that's
great. Right now you need a special player. You need to load the file into the player.
Right.
And listen to him.
Right. I don't know. When you first started listening, you heard about what was going on in Cuss Road. What were you thinking? Because I mean, you know, I always thought Cuss Road was something.
Well, I was listening to it again before I was going to do my presentation, and this is like the first time I really actually had my headphones on when I was listening, and then I hear Teresa Hallbach, and I'm like, wait a minute, rewound it, slowed it down, kept listening to it, and they like definitely yes, I'm hearing Teresa Hallbach, and then I hear West Avery's. I'm like, wait a minute, so then I keep playing it back, Then I can fine tune a little bit, and then you can hear keep Loof East. Loof is the dog.
Yeah.
We look at the reports. The dog was kept away from the area.
Right. Do you think that they brought the dogs back there so many times just to make sure they didn't leave any of their stuff any DNA smell or,
well,
you know what I mean?
If you read the dog reports, when they bring Loof back, the handler states that Loof indicated that something had been tampered. I don't know. Is the word she uses.
Right. So yeah, it kind of like I said, you're.
Why do we have this Calumet call about somebody saying they overheard on a scanner they found the body?
Yeah. Why do they have an ambulance down there? Why do they have all them cars down there?
Why are they there the next day?
Why are they there that many hours exactly? And it happens to be certain police officers, that are involved in every step of the way here with the key, shake that, cabinet from Nadia any which way you want. That key is not going to land that way. Okay. And let's just be real about that. Link came in, tossed that key and said, whoops, there's a key. That's how that happened, as far as I'm thinking. You know what I mean? And then the bullet, that was, she did something she never, ever did before, ever. Went against protocol and used it because there was nothing left. Well, that just...
Yeah. And if she messed up on one, and there was over 100 plus items she was testing, did she break chain protocol any other times?
Never.
Because if it happened once, who knows?
Yeah. Helmet Head's got something going on.
Did you just note it this time because she had two people there watching her?
Yeah, and wasn't that funny that the lawyers asked for somebody to watch the testing and they weren't allowed in there.
Mm-hmm.
She had people she was teaching. Okay, now, see, there's just too many. You can't, they had a wall up against, like you said, Stephen was screwed from the get-go. They had blinders on. They just knew.
Well, why do you think that if they finding all these bones was allegedly on the 8th, why did they only arrest him for felon with possession of a gun?
Yeah, and that was dropped too. And the day that they found the bones and arrested him, that the day before that was done. And did you know that the gun was tested? That 22 was tested 3 days before they found the bullet?
It's lots of strange things happening.
I mean, yeah, where'd they test it? Avery's garage with the red paint and the wood? Just shoot it in there and pop it off with that clean bullet.
You keep hearing these calls talking about how Bobby Dashley was always shooting out there. And Stephen would pick up the shell casings and throw them in the garage.
Yeah. And that guy said he had how many bullets got there? Shot how many?
The picture of Stephen Avery's burn barrel, you notice there's bullet holes in it?
Probably shooting at it.
Jody and Bobby Dassey, they're the ones that were shooting at the barrel. They're the ones that put the holes in the barrel. Just like if you listen to the first batch of Jody calling Stephen from jail.
Yeah.
They talk about the weekend. It starts from the weekend prior to the 31st, and that weekend, he brought the Suzuki and the snowmobile home the day before on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, that one call where you got Jody's in there and she's getting, listening to the phone call of Deb. Wasn't it Debbie or Deb?
Mm-hmm.
And talking with Stephen and
Debbie
Clem. Get her to turn. Was that with the girl? Deb?
Yeah, Debbie Clem. Yeah, Debbie Clem.
Okay. So, I mean,
Something about her just I don't something weird. Like just how like literally she wrote him a letter, left her phone number. She changed her phone company because she realized the phone company she had wouldn't accept the calls. He then calls her, and then she comes and sees him after talking to him one time on the phone.
Right. They're like, oh, and I really like her. I mean, he jumps. We can just all come to the conclusion that Stephen Avery jumps in love very quick. Okay. I mean, he does.
Well, you gotta think about it. He's in jail.
Yeah.
The only person he's really talking to is his mother.
Yeah.
And he's getting letters from all kinds of people.
Right.
And so what else are you gonna do? You're sitting in the cell 20 hours a day.
It's what a guy does. Ain't got no problem with
At least you get access to a TV and a phone.
Yeah, yeah.
But he should have kept his mouth shut and not talked about the case at all.
Yeah, yeah. I find it kind of I mean, knowing the family, I kind of know that they tried to tear the family apart, and you can see it in these calls. Like I said, these calls place you in 2005 at the time these things are happening when you're listening to them. So they're, to me, so very telling that, I mean, I'll tell you what, I appreciate the really hard work that you've done to do it. And I know you're only doing it for the truth.
I've had help. I've got surrounded by a great group of people.
Well, then you can, give them credits too. I don't know who they are, but
a lot of people in Foul Play, the Foul Play podcast. If you want to check it out, they have
check that out.
Thursday and Saturday, and they're uploading all of the jail calls. They're up to almost 400 now.
It takes a village, what I'm saying, and like I said, without everybody working together, the more you work together, the more information comes out that's true, factual, and helps. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we all need to do is just, band together. That's why.
My main problem is I don't know what people don't know, so I really don't know what to talk about. Because I'm assuming I know it. They should know that. I don't know. I don't realize how in depth I've dug into this.
Right. Well, you know what? You got to. There's new people coming in all the time.
Oh yeah, I realize that every day.
Yeah. So
that's
whatever.
It's good to talk about the old stuff too, because the new people need to know about it too.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying when you get on and you talk like we're talking, we're two supporters that are, into the research and whatever. We're talking about things that are old and new. You know what I mean? And it helps.
I've literally watched Making a Murder season 1, season 2, one time each. Been watched it for season 1. Watched it. Well, initially, I seen episode 1 on my Facebook. So then I was like, "Whoa, really, Stephen Avery?" Because I remember the whole trial going on. Watched it and was like, "Holy shit!"
Did you think he was when it was going on and you were there? I mean, you're the only one I can really ask that's not to talk about the case to the family because they live it.
It was all over the news, and my daughter was born January 1st, 2006, so I had a lot more things to worry about.
Yeah. So, but what year did you think he was guilty?
No, I mean, because my mom would talk about it and be like, "There's no way he did this."
Yeah. So like a lot of people still just believe that it didn't make sense.
I talk to people every day that have no clue who Stephen Avery is, have no clue Making a Murder is. And people that do know who Stephen Avery is, they automatically think he's guilty from what they've seen on the news and what the media portrayed.
Right. Well, I listened to all the one time Allie had it on her channel, all the newscasts that were done during that time. And I sat and listened to every one of them with an open mind. And I'll tell you what, if I was a citizen right around there, I probably would, if that's the only information I got on it, I would have thought that he was probably guilty.
I want to know why whoever put Brendan Dassey's confession on YouTube, why they edited out the first part.
Wow.
I
didn't notice they did that.
There's 46 minutes. I put it all back together.
Oh, good. Everybody, you can get that on Millbillie's channel too. You got a lot of really good informational things there. Yeah. And it's the kind that they listen to it and they form their own opinion.
Well, I've come to the conclusion that there's two things: the dogs don't lie, and what people say don't lie. If you hear them say it, you can't contest what they said.
Right out of their mouth. Exactly. I feel the same way. Right out of their mouth.
Like I'm 100% understand that the officers are lying to everybody, but there is some truth to what they're saying.
Exactly. Cuss Road to me and the RAV are two very important pieces of this case, I believe.
What do you think would happen if they never found that car on Stephen Avery's property?
I don't think they would have been able to press. I don't think he would have been found guilty because it's
obviously that morning that the car is found. What are they saying? Oh, the boss wants us to go back and interview Avery and Zipper again.
Yeah. Well, they also say, well, he's got us doing something. That sounds suspicious to me when they're not saying what he wants to do, and it's just before they find the car.
Well, if you go and listen to what happens in these jail calls and then go back and read the officers' reports and when they interview people, things that happen coincide with when they talk to people. Like they interview Earl, and right after that, then they talk to Robert Fabian. And I believe they use Earl's statements as Robert's because I want to hear his interview too. I know they recorded everybody's.
Yeah,
it's like all the people that spotted the RAV at a vehicle at the turnaround.
Yeah,
on 4 days, the first, the second, third, the fourth. The last person to see it there was Robert Fabian on the morning of the fourth when he's going to go pick up a new dog. On the third, he went to go pick up the dog kennel. On the fourth, he went to go pick up the dog. He claims seeing the car there both days.
Was there
like Kevin Ramlow when he sees the officer at the Centex in Michigan?
Yeah.
He claims to see there on the third, talks to the officer on the fourth.
Yeah. And that's what I think bothers me.
I don't know what time of day it was when he claims to see this officer at the gas station. Was it in the afternoon, in the morning, close to night?
Yeah.
We got reports of Manitowoc calling Paul Rabba towing 3 times on the 4th at 12:58, 3 times in a row. He's the same guy that removed the car from the property. He's the same guy that's brought back, like the Paul Rabba's sister. He arrives on the Avery's property on the 5th as the Millbillie fire chief. He leaves, comes back an hour later. He's now the tow truck operator.
Yeah. Mary 30 wants to know, Millbillie, what has stood out to you most listening to the jail calls?
Stephen is telling the truth. Everything he says can be verified.
And and his stories don't change.
Stories never change. Even talked to Teresa's cousin, David Beach. He states the same thing. She came around 2:30, took some photos, left.
Yep.
And Earl and them let her cousin search the yard on the 4th. The car wasn't there.
And what about the flyover too? That's another thing.
That's why it's edited. That's why it's edited.
Yeah, edited. Well,
that's why Zellner put it in her brief. She's got so many outs. It's ridiculous. There's no way that they're screwed.
Yeah, I don't think they ignore it very much longer. All the evidence that's been out.
Her job is just to get Stephen A. out of prison. Her job isn't to find out who killed her. That was the police's job to do.
That's right. She only has to put out that it's possible somebody else did it and make it that the jury would think so. And if you ask me, with all the things she has, there's no way that they can deny her.
All the affidavits impeaching people's testimony in the trial too. So then Dean and Jerry stating that they messed up. They should have did things they didn't do. Then you got all these evidence that was held. Like for instance, Dean and Jerry had no clue about the Calumet County Dispatch whatsoever.
Yeah.
And if they didn't know that, did they have these photos of those? Because they're only seeing what the defense or the prosecution is giving to them. The prosecution is making their case.
Right.
And obviously they admit that they didn't hire the right investigators and they didn't investigate the things properly.
Right. Well, the investigation stopped the minute that they found it easy to plant and make Stephen the go-hole for that. You know what I'm saying? Because it just stopped. I mean, since when do you find a car without a body and quit looking for the body? You know what I mean? just stop the investigation.
Well,
Stop.
it went from a missing persons to a homicide investigation.
Yeah, without seeing any blood, because when they first
You hear my call box say they found her car, but there's no signs of foul play.
a sign of no blood.
She's still just a missing person.
That's right. That's that I found very telling too.
The grieving process may take days, weeks, or months.
Yeah, days. Well, yeah. Well, certainly we hope that she's alive, but if in case she's not, we'd like to get on with this.
We always knew we'd see Teresa again. Just unfortunately, it's going to be in heaven.
Yeah,
like what the hell?
That's strange talk to me. You know what I mean? That's
like
very
strange. Reporters are talking to Mike and Ryan Hilgers. They asked them if they ever been on that property before.
Yeah, they look sketchy as hell there too.
When Ryan says what he says, it's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, it's either he's shocked that Ryan's saying that, or he knows Ryan's saying that, and he's, why are you saying that? See, I don't know which way to take that. I don't know to take that as if he's shocked that, hey, wait, I didn't know this, or
I remember the first reports we get about the key is they found blood on the key. You even got Pagel calling dispatch, bragging about, yeah, we found blood on the key and his DNA in a car he's never been in.
Yeah, and he said he's never been in the car. Well, now we know he has. Yeah.
And right when they bring up that they found blood or his DNA in a car, he says, well, maybe on the door, I touched the door.
Yeah, because shutting the door when he got the magazine. You know, everything Steven says, though, makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what when I first got into this, I started looking at, is Stephen Avery actually capable of doing this?
Yeah.
Could he have done this? And the evidence that I've seen, no.
No, I don't think so neither. I mean, I was on the fence at first about Stephen. I mean,
if he burned a body in his burn pit, why are none of the people that live around there reporting smelling a foul-smelling smell?
Exactly. Or a very large fire, because
you got Mr. Metz that lives on Xander Road. He's the one who reports the fire that he's seen by his property. Well, he's neighbors with Captain Paul Rush of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department. He's also involved in the Marie incident that happened in 2004. Like this, I've went way back and I've been piecing things together slowly. And
yeah, well, you're bringing in.
If I'm right, yeah.
Well, you're, like I said, you're bringing in the pieces of the puzzles that a lot of people really didn't. I mean, I didn't get clarification.
Every time I brought something up in the past, people would be like, well, where does it say that in queso? Where does it say that in queso? I was like, you guys treat this thing like the Bible. Yeah.
Let me tell you, they're coming out of their mouth is more better than queso, them writing it down.
Yeah.
10 times better. It's, the out of the mouth of babes, or whatever they say. You know what I mean? The truth is coming out. Only thing I know is that I've thought a lot of different things about this case, but things started being pieced together for me personally when I started listening to the dispatch and to the jail calls and all that stuff. It's like little pieces with every, little, whoa, wait a minute. Now that makes sense to me now. I thought before.
If you look at all the new photos that have been released.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
44 from the Wisconsin State Patrol. That's where we got all these photos for Cup Road on the 8th. And then all the photos that were released from queso.
Yeah. And, they didn't do a lot of testing of evidence that was
not a whole lot of time sifting concrete.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, yet there wasn't a mattress, there wasn't any blankets, there wasn't any bedding at all.
No, they tore his whole trailer apart and didn't find any DNA evidence whatsoever, other than Stephen Avery's or Jody's.
Right. And how do you clean up a house like that in 5 days?
Bear's dog hair too. And the cat they had too. There's cat hair too.
Well, they also had the carpet cleaner. And if there would have been him cleaning up the DNA with the carpet cleaner, it'd have been in the carpet cleaner. That DNA would have been in there.
Well, the state scenario, what happened has completely been debunked. There's no way it did. There's no evidence. Like, there's not a piece of evidence that suggests Brendan did any of this.
Exactly. There's nothing but words that they fed to him. Nothing. But as far as the blood, like in the RAV, I mean, Eric Cozy did a video just, I think it was yesterday or the day before. I have always kind of thought that, his Grand Am would have been a great place to grab some blood from.
Or his truck.
I don't know about it. I didn't know about the truck at the time, but
there's photos and evidence. They took pictures of his truck. You can see the blood in his truck too.
Yeah. So I mean, I've always kind of thought that you could do that. You know what I mean?
So
because
when the dog was on the property, they start at. Okay, this is why I think they're tracking Stephen Avery's scent at one time. They go from the van over to his truck, the garage, then his trailer. Then the trailer goes by the burn barrel, then through the field, over to Cuss Road. And that's when they say Luther's on an intense trail going along the berm in between Radant's property, Cuss Road, and Stevens. Well, we know that Josh Radant was cutting the brush along that berm, so is the dog tracking his scent?
Yeah. They probably were trying to see if they could follow him to the bones. You know what I mean? I think they used them dogs more or less to make sure that they cleaned up their own shit as they went along.
Well, if you listen to the transmissions for Manitowoc, you don't hear until the 9th. You hear Colburn radio in saying he wants the dog people to come because they need to remove an animal ASAP, which would be bear.
Yeah, they were going to put him down.
So you hear the animal shelter calling Calumet, finding out who's going to pay for the storage of having the dog.
Yeah. Margaret said to Stephen, what way was the... Yeah, I remember that too, Crockett. When they asked Stephen, what way was the rab pointing? Well, I don't know. That was a trick question, and that was so good that he said that. I mean, and only it came out of him like, I'm honestly telling you, I don't know. How would I know? You know what I mean? Which way that rab was pointing, because they were trying to set him up on that. Oh. But anyway, well, we've almost been on for about an hour, and I don't want to keep you on your day off, but I'd love to have you on here again. Maybe we can get some other people and get into a big conversation about these things, because there's a whole lot more to talk about, and I know you're every day doing it, and I just want to say thank you to you and all the people that are helping you do this. Thank you very much. I'm finding it very telling. I really, really enjoy listening to them. I do got to keep a little thank you there every time to let myself know.
I recommend anybody watching this check out Foul Plays podcast.
Yes. Everybody.
We're going over Making a Murder 1 and 2, and we do it every Saturday. And we also have Theory Thursdays where they have people on all the time, new people.
Great.
To bring their own opinion, so we get a very large bias.
Great. I'm all for it. I've listened to it, like I said, a few times, and I loved everyone I listened to. I think it's great. It's a great platform. You guys are doing good things, putting out some great information. I really appreciate it. I know everybody else does. But in the description, I'll go back in and I'll put in the link for Foul Play and Millbillie's channel. Yep. So you guys can, if you haven't, go subscribe to both. Listen to them. There's great things there. New and old will be able to enjoy. So thank you very much, Millbillie, for your time.
Well, thank you.
And I hope to see you again. Bye, everybody. Thanks. Say goodbye, Millbillie.
Later.